Hello, teachers, and welcome to the Scrappy Piano Teacher podcast. My name is Jaclyn Mrozek, but of course you can call me Jackie. And here for a special second week treat, I have with me Dr. Gebrian, who wrote the book, Learn Faster, Perform Better, which was in last week's podcast that if you haven't yet listened to, you might want to go back and listen to right now so that you know what we're talking about. But today we are going to talk about prepping for recitals because we are in October. So everybody will probably be pulling out some holiday pieces and getting ready for recitals. So we're going to go ahead and walk through preparing our students. Now, you are not a piano teacher.
Nope.
But you do teach. Do you teach anything else other than?
I mean, I've been a violin viola teacher since I was 15 and I'm 44, so a long time.
Okay, so violin and viola. Okay, I don't know why. I keep having that you're cellist in my head too.
I did play cello for a while when I was a kid, but not since I was in 8th grade. So
all right, so you've been around, you know this stuff. You've been around the block since you were 15. I get it. I started when I was 14, and those poor students. I know,
right? Yeah,
but, yeah. I'm like, I had no business teaching. So can you just walk us through your pathway?
Yeah, for preparing students for performance. So I think every student is a little different in terms of how they react to performances. Some kids find it really fun. Some kids find it terrifying. And you kind of have to know as a teacher, what your students are like, especially the ones that find it terrifying. It's really important to make it as comfortable as possible for them. And they get to practice performing a lot so that they're comfortable with the process. I think especially with kids, we don't give them enough opportunities to perform. So then they get on stage. It's this totally foreign thing. They don't know what to do. They forget how to bow. They get all freaked out before they even sit down at the piano, in your case. And then it's this piano they've never played on before. Like the whole thing just is really, really stressful.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the most important thing, if you do nothing else as a teacher, is to do a lot of practice performances with your students, like in the lesson at the very least, so they get used to it, so that bowing is always part of it. It's not just that they're sitting down and they're playing their piece, that you teach them how to bow, when to bow. And that's as much a part of the performance as anything else, because it's really scary to be up in front of a whole bunch of people and know I'm supposed to bow, but what do I do with myself now, right? And so first, doing practice performances in the lesson with just you, and if the parent is there, just you and the parent in the lesson, that you're encouraging them to do practice performances at home. First, maybe just for their stuffed animals, but then for other family members who don't come to the lesson, or neighbors or friends or something like that. Then as they get more comfortable, having them do a practice performance for the student that comes after their lesson. And then that's
a good idea.
Yeah. So they're performing for each other, and kids, they recognize, obviously, because they see them right after their lesson. Maybe they don't know them. So that by the time they get to the actual performance, they have done a bunch of these practice performances with the bowing, with, in front of people, with, the whole shebang. To increase nervousness, videotape them while they're doing their practice performance in the studio, right? Once they get more comfortable with it, and once you as the teacher can tell, okay, this person is feeling fine, then you kind of up the ante with an iPad videoing them. So then when they get to the real thing, it doesn't feel so bad. So that's number one. I also think it's important, especially for older students. This may not be as important for little kids because their pieces are so short, right? They just play one little thing and that's the end. Yep. But for older students who have longer pieces, and there's kind of a lot of things they have to do to perform it successfully. In my book, in the chapter on interleaved practice, actually, there's a number of ways to test performance readiness. So one of them is this list idea. So with that, with your, say, high school student, make a list of their scary spots, their problem spots, the spots they worry about, that they have practiced, that they can play. They're just worried about them going well. Make a list of those. Once they've practiced them, they can play them. Then perform the first spot on the list. If it's good, it gets a tick mark on the list. If it's not good, no tick mark, go on to the next spot. Once you've gone through the whole list, hopefully everything gets a tick mark. Then you go back to the beginning, perform your first spot again. If it gets a tick mark.
So you're not sitting there playing it 3 times it's good, 4th time it's not, erase. You're going through, you're doing the interleaved practice. You're doing one thing at a time.
Right. And it's not practicing, it's testing performance readiness, because you're just performing it once. As if it's a concert. Because what you're trying to see, what you're trying to tell by doing this is can I just sit down and play this on the first try? Because that's what you need to know in a concert, right? So the goal
Right.
with this is that you get 5 tick marks on each spot, but you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If there's 5 spots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You mess up, you lose your tick marks for that spot. But what it shows you and the student is what's ready to go and what's not ready to go. For the things that are not ready to go, it's a nice wake-up call. For the things that are ready to go, it gives the student a lot of confidence that, okay, yeah, I can just get up and play this right away on the first try. It also really works on that skill of letting things go. If you mess up, I think we've all had the experience of playing a concert, making a mistake, and then you start ruminating on it and you make all these other mistakes because you're so freaked out from your first mistake.
All that
right?
head chatter. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's a skill to be able to make a mistake and just brush it off and keep going and focus on what's coming next rather than constantly thinking about the mistake you made. And so this list idea practices that too. Maybe the second thing on your list you screw up and you lose all your tick marks for that. That's okay. Go on to the third spot. Just focus on that. Don't think about that second spot anymore. It's in the past. And so that's a really important performance skill that we need to develop that we don't really talk about developing all that much. That this sort of list thing does as well.
I like that. Now, how far ahead? Let's say that your recital is, I don't know, I don't even know the dates right now, but let's say December 15th.
Yep.
When would you recommend starting this process?
Yeah. So I always recommend that it starts at least 2 weeks before. So if it's December 15th, let's say December 1st, even better to start it 3 to 4 weeks before. The more time you have to do it before, the better, but at the very least 2 weeks before. I actually tell students who are going to do recitals, okay, if the recital's on December 15th, pretend the recital is on December 1st and you're ready to go December 1st so that if something happened and the date of the recital got changed to December 1st, you'd be fine. You'd be totally ready to go. Because I think students think, as long as I'm ready to go by December 15th, I'm fine. No, you're not. You need time to practice performing.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say, we do performance classes 2 weeks before each performance. And I love them because it rocks their world. They just fall apart. That sounds so mean, but it really wakes them up and gives them a wake-up call.
I mean, with college students who are giving like recitals, right? Like a degree recital, I always have them make a backward schedule that, okay, December 15th is the recital. December 1st is when you're going to start your performance preparation testing. Working backwards from there with smaller milestones along the way, that really shows you sort of what you have to do. And you realize, like, I need to know what I'm doing, like way further in advance than I thought I would.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that covers the older kids, the ones who are doing the bigger pieces, but I think that also covers your middle schoolers. And then the little guys, they're usually the easy ones because we do a lot of duets. Is there anything different that you would do with the ages?
I mean, not really. With the little ones, I would make it into a game for sure. I mean, especially the little ones tend to get distracted in a concert, right? There's all these people, they're looking at them, they're wearing fancy clothes. Like, it's just distracting. And it can be very fun actually to play distraction games with them. So they're playing their little piece. And you or the parent, or if they have a sibling that's coming to the lesson, tries to distract them while they're playing. And if there's a little sibling, this is like, they love doing this because they're allowed to like poke at their older brother or something while he's playing the piano. I remember doing these when I was a kid and thinking it was really fun. So doing distraction games where somebody else in the room is trying to mess them up while they're playing, and their goal is to not get messed up and not get distracted. It's fun for them, but it's really good training for not getting distracted by the audience or whatever in the performance itself.
So going back to what we were talking about in the previous episode, taking breaks when you're learning the piece, learning it in time, and then you need to backtrack, see, when the performance needs to be ready, and then you do the performance exercise that you have with the check marks and all the sections.
Practicing performing,
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you would recommend for us?
Kind of another idea with the performance testing. And this is something that I do in lessons, especially if there's beginning is like weird. And then once they get into it, they're okay. Or maybe they can start it okay. And then once they get going, there's a section that like really messes them up. But if there's one section that if they can nail that, they're fine. If they can't nail that, then it kind of derails everything. Something that I do in lessons is I will put on an interval timer, which is a timer that goes off repeatedly rather than just once. And I'll usually put it to go off every 5 to 7 minutes. And we will be having our normal lesson, doing whatever we're doing. timer goes off, we stop what we're doing. They have to perform that part that we have identified, like this is the make or break part.
Oh,
They perform that, and then you go back to your lesson. And it works better actually if you're like literally in the middle of something, you don't even finish your thought, you just stop and they have to switch mindset and perform this thing that you've picked out. So as a teacher, you have to really remember what you were doing with the student before this practice performance came. You have to remember what you were in the middle of saying. You have to remember whatever you were trying to convey to your student, because as soon as they're done with their practice performance, you just go back to the lesson and you do whatever. It's not quite as chaotic as it sounds when I describe it, but it is really effective. And whenever I've done it with students, by the end of the lesson, whatever the part is that they've performed, they're like, that feels so fine now. Like, I feel like so comfortable with that. I feel like I could perform that in my sleep, which is exactly the point.
That's what we want. We want them doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then real quick, mental practice.
Mental practice. Yes.
Yes. We never talked about that.
Yes. Mental practicing is for musicians is being able to hear and feel yourself play it the way you want in your mind, that you can imagine yourself doing it the way you want. And this is great performance preparation, especially for older students. Can they play through their piece in their mind and know that it's right? Can they hear it? Can they feel it? Can they know they're playing it correctly? With little kids, it's usually like younger than I would say 4th grade. It's usually way too much to have them imagine their piece, but you can use it in a lesson to work on specific skills. And I actually find with kids, rather than having them imagining themselves doing it, having them imagine that they are watching themselves do it on a TV. I usually just pick out a wall in the room and be like, that's a giant TV. You are on the TV. And pick out a really specific skill. Like, you know, for me as a string player, maybe, you know, your bow is going to go down bow and then up bow or something like that. And like on the TV, see yourself play the down bow, then play the up bow. And the kids will like stare at the TV and they'll be like, oh, I can see myself do it. And then when they do it on their instrument, it's way, way better. So yeah, that's a really
amazing.
Effective. Yeah,
so
it's
just
amazing.
Have them actually walk through and see it and see themselves playing it. Do you ever have them imagine the music in front of them, or is it all
No, it's all about
the
act of playing. Yeah, the act of playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Molly, thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're amazing. As usual, I'll put everything in the show notes. But if you didn't listen to last week's, I don't know why you kept listening to this one, but go ahead and listen to that one. Thanks, Molly, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.